Meet Darius Williams, a 12-year-old black boy growing up in a modest neighborhood. Known for his hard work and responsibility, Darius helps out around his home and does small errands for neighbors. He's the kind of kid people trust and depend on. One afternoon while walking home from school, Darius stumbles upon a small leather purse lying abandoned on the sidewalk. He picks it up and upon checking inside, finds an ID card belonging to an elderly woman named Mrs. Jen, along with some cash and personal items. Without a second thought, Darius decides to do the right thing and return the purse to its rightful owner, but something strange happens the very next day. Police officers arrive at Darius' front door. What could have possibly gone wrong? Did Darius' good deed have unforeseen consequences? What did Darius do that caught the attention of the police? Keep watching to find out. Darius Williams lives in a small, modest home with his single mother, Monica, in a tight-knit community. Life isn't always easy, but Darius never complains. He's used to taking on extra responsibilities to help his mom, like running errands for neighbors or doing household chores to earn a little money. Recently, he's been saving up for a special school trip, determined to contribute without burdening his mother financially. Although he's well-liked in the neighborhood, Darius is known for being quiet and keeping to himself. He's not the most outgoing kid, but he has a reputation for always doing what's right, a trait deeply instilled in him by his mother. Monica has taught Darius the importance of integrity and responsibility from a young age, ensuring he grows up with a strong moral compass. Every day follows a similar routine. Darius finishes his chores, helps his mom with dinner, and then sits down to do his homework. He's focused, disciplined, and works hard for everything he has on the day. He found Mrs. Jenkins' purse. He was doing just that, finishing up his daily responsibilities with no idea that the next day would bring the police to his doorstep. One afternoon, as Darius walks his usual route home from school, something unusual catches his eye. A small purse lying next to a park bench. He hesitates for a moment, wondering if someone nearby had simply left it behind. But after glancing around and seeing no one, he walks over to pick it up. Curiosity gets the best of him, and Darius opens the purse. Inside, there's a decent amount of cash, more than enough to help him with his school trip savings. For a brief moment, he feels the temptation to keep the money. The weight of his situation presses on him. He's been working so hard to save, and here was an opportunity to make things easier. But as quickly as the thought enters his mind, it leaves. He remembers his mother's teachings, honesty, and doing the right thing no matter how tough life gets. He digs through the purse a little further and finds an ID belonging to an elderly woman named Mrs. Jenkins. She looks frail in the picture, reminding him of his grandmother, and Darius feels a pang of guilt for even considering keeping the money. It dawns on him that Mrs. Jenkins must be worried sick about losing her purse. With a sigh of determination, Darius closes the purse, knowing what he has to do. He might need the money, but someone out there needs this purse more. Rather than taking the easy route, Darius decides to find Mrs. Jenkins and return what rightfully belongs to her. His mother would be proud. With the address from the ID in hand, Darius sets out to find Mrs. Jenkins' house. It isn't far from the park, but with each step, his nerves begin to build. He's not sure what to expect. What if she thinks he took something, or worse, accuses him of stealing? The thought sends a chill down his spine, but he pushes it aside. He knows returning the purse is the right thing to do, and that's what matters most. When Darius finally arrives, he finds himself standing in front of a modest old house with peeling paint and overgrown bushes. Taking a deep breath, he knocks on the door. His heart races as he waits, wondering if Mrs. Jenkins is home or if he'll have to come back later. After a moment, the door creaks open, revealing Mrs. Jenkins herself. The old woman squints at him suspiciously from behind, her thick glasses, her expression stern. "Can I help you?" she asks in a gruff tone. Darius clears his throat, feeling small. Under her sharp gaze, "Hi, I think I found your purse," he says, holding it out. Her eyes widen in surprise, and for a second she seems unsure of how to respond. She takes the purse from him, cautiously looking it over as if checking to make sure everything is still there. After a long pause, Mrs. Jenkins' stern expression softens. "Oh, well, thank you," she mutters, still a bit distant. Her gratitude is brief, and before Darius can say anything more, she shuts the door. With a quiet goodbye, Darius stands there for a moment, feeling both proud of what he did and confused by the interaction. Mrs. Jenkins didn't seem as thankful as he'd imagined. Still, as he walks away, he feels good knowing he made the right choice, even if the moment wasn't as heartwarming as he had expected. The next day, Darius is at home with his mother, quietly finishing his homework. At the kitchen table, the sound of dishes clattering from his mother washing up echoes through their modest home. It's a regular afternoon, peaceful and uneventful, until there's a knock at the door. His mother pauses, wiping her hands on a towel before heading to the front door. Darius doesn't think much of it at first. Maybe it's a neighbor or someone selling something, but when his mother opens the door, her surprised gasp catches his attention. Standing on their porch are two police officers there, uniforms crisp and their faces unreadable. Darius' heart skips a beat, and he immediately starts to worry. His mother, already nervous, steps outside, trying to remain calm. "Can I help you?" she asks, her voice steady but with an undercurrent of fear. The officers exchange glances before one of them speaks. "We're here to speak with your son, Darius Williams." The air in the room grows heavy. Darius freezes in his chair, his mind racing. Why would the police want to talk to him? He's a good kid, always doing the right thing, especially yesterday when he returned Mrs. Jenkins' purse. His mother looks back at him with wide eyes, trying to understand what's going on. "What is this about?" she asks, her voice shaking slightly now. "We just need to ask him a few questions." One of the officers responds, his tone neutral but firm. The tension is palpable. Darius slowly rises from his seat, his legs feeling wobbly as he steps toward the door. What could they possibly want from him? He hadn't done anything wrong, had he? The tension in the air is thick as Darius steps forward, standing beside his mother. His heart races, the uncertainty gooing at him. The officers exchange glances, and one of them begins to explain. "Yesterday, Mrs. Jenkins came down to the station." One of the officers says, his voice calm but serious. Darius' stomach flips. Why would she go to the police? Did she think he had stolen something from her purse? After all, his mother tenses up beside him, her hand gripping the edge of the door frame. The officers continue, and the suspense builds. "She told us how you returned her purse." The officer continues, "She was quite moved by your honesty, Darius." Darius' mind is spinning. He thought for sure he was in trouble, but now the officer's words seem to suggest otherwise. Still, there's a knot in his stomach, and his eyes dark, heart between his mother and the officers, waiting for the full story. "She wanted to do something special for you," the other officer chimes in. "With our help, she set up a fund in your name, Darius." Darius' eyes widen in disbelief. "A fund?" he whispers, barely able to speak. The officer nods. "She contributed a generous amount of money to help with your education in your school trip." His mother gasps, her hand flying to her mouth in shock. Darius stands frozen, the relief washing over him like a wave. The nod in his stomach untangles, and he can hardly believe what he's hearing. Mrs. Jenkins, the cranky old lady who barely thanked him, went out of her way to reward his honesty. His mother turns to him, eyes welling up with tears of gratitude. "I don't know what to say," she says softly, but Darius knows one thing: he did the right thing, and it's a moment he'll never forget. Just as Darius and his mother are processing the incredible news, there's another knock at the door. This time, when they open it, Mrs. Jenkins is standing there, accompanied by the two officers. She looks different Now less stern, her eyes softer and full. Of emotion, Darius feels a lump form in his throat as Mrs. Jenkins steps forward. I wanted to come myself, and thank you. Properly, she says, her voice quivering. Just slightly, she looks down at Darius. Her hands trembling a bit. You reminded me of someone I lost a long time ago. My son Darius' eyes widen. He had no idea that Mrs. Jenkins had gone through something so personal. The elderly woman takes a deep breath. Before continuing, my son was about your age when I lost him. It's been hard for me to connect with anyone ever since, she says, her voice heavy with sadness. But we brought back my purse. I saw a spark of that same kindness and honesty in you. Darius feels his heart ache for Mrs. Jenkins. He had only wanted to do the right thing, but now he realizes his simple act of kindness had touched her on a much deeper level. Mrs. Jenkins wipes away a tear as she reaches out to gently hold Darius's hand. You reminded me that there are still good people in this world, she says softly, and for that I'll always be grateful. In that moment, the distance between them vanishes. Mrs. Jenkins, the cranky old neighbor, is no longer a stranger to Darius. They share a bond now, one forged in the power of kindness and understanding. The officers watched quietly, their smiles warm as Darius and Mrs. Jenkins stand together, connected in a way either of them expected. As she turns to leave, Mrs. Jenkins looks back at Darius one last time, a tender smile on her face. You're going to do great things, young man, she says, and for the first time, Darius believes it too. As the scene fades from the emotional moment between Darius and Mrs. Jenkins, the tone of the story shifts into a broader reflection. Darius' journey, which began with a simple decision to return a lost purse, grew into something so much bigger than he could have imagined. His honesty didn't just earn him gratitude or a reward. It touched the heart of a woman who had experienced profound loss, offering her a glimmer of hope and connection she hadn't felt in years. Sometimes we think small acts of kindness don't matter, that they're just tiny gestures in the grand scheme of things, but Darius's story reminds us that doing the right thing, no matter how small, can have a ripple effect far beyond what we expect. His decision to be honest despite his own temptations and needs brought about healing and kindness in others, creating a sense of community and understanding. There's a deeper lesson here. The true power of kindness lies in its ability to transcend circumstances. Darius wasn't looking for a reward or recognition when he returned the purse. He simply followed the values his mother had taught him, but in the end, his good deed rewarded him in ways far beyond money. It brought him a new sense of self-worth, an unexpected ally in Mrs. Jenkins, and perhaps most importantly, a reminder that our actions can make a meaningful difference in someone else's life. As the video concludes, a soft voice continues this reflection, reinforcing the impact of the story. It's easy to overlook the small moments, the chances to help someone in need or to do the right thing even when no one is watching. But their story shows us the ripple effect of kindness. You never know whose life you'll touch or how your actions can create a bond that changes someone's world. So how will you show kindness today? The screen transitions to a calm, reflective background as a call to action appears on screen. Take a moment today to make a difference, whether it's helping a stranger, being there for someone who needs you, or simply doing the right thing. No matter how small it may seem, kindness has the power to change lives. The narrator's voice softly encourages viewers to engage with the video. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Darius's story. What would you have done in his place? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Your support helps us share more tales of compassion, honesty, and the human experience. As the video closes, a final message flashes across the screen. Kindness costs nothing, but its value is priceless. The music fades, and the video ends with the channel's logo and a reminder to like, Share and subscribe the viewers are left, reflecting on how a single choice can not only change their own life, but also bring light and hope to someone else's world.